In any high-stakes career, the line between peak performance and total collapse is just razor thin. So today, we're going to use an ancient story, the rise and fall of a king, as a powerful mirror for modern success. We're going to explore that glorious build and the quiet ways it can all come crashing down. So, the central figure in all of this is King Solomon. Think of him as the ultimate archetype for anyone at the top of their game, really. He represents the glorious peak of success. But he's also the critical warning sign every high performer really needs to hear. His story is all about that double-edged sword of achievement. And we're going to follow that entire arc, right? First, we'll look at the incredible foundation of his success. Then, the masterpiece he built at his absolute peak. And finally, the slow, quiet collapse that followed. It's a timeless journey with some really powerful lessons at every single stage. All right, so let's start at the very beginning. How did Solomon build the foundation for such monumental success? Well, it all came down to a single, really strategic request he made right at the start of his reign. Before I show you what he asked for, just think about it for a second. Seriously, if you were given a blank check for your career, what would you ask for? More capital? A longer life? Maybe power over your competition? Let's see how your answer stacks up against Solomon's. And you can just see the contrast here. Most of us, we'd probably ask for the results, the riches, the power. But Solomon, with his incredible humility, he actually admitted, I am only a little child. And he asked for the engine that produces those results, an understanding mind, the wisdom to discern good from evil. He asked for the process, not the outcome. Huge difference. So here's the crucial point, right? Solomon pursued a deep understanding of his craft first. And all the stuff he didn't ask for, the riches, the honor, that was all given to him as a direct consequence. The lesson is so powerful. Success is a byproduct of genuine understanding. Stop chasing the profits and start chasing the wisdom. The results, they'll follow. Okay, so with this foundation of wisdom, Solomon enters the peak of his career, and he begins constructing his masterpiece, the tangible proof of his vision. The temple. For 7 years, he focused on this one single defining project. Just imagine that level of sustained concentration in our world of just endless distraction. 7 years of his prime poured into building one thing of unparalleled quality. This wasn't a side hustle, it was his central mission. And he didn't build it with spare parts either. He allocated his absolute best resources, conscripting 30,000 laborers for the project. And this is a critical point. Your most important work deserves your best, not your leftovers. It got the investment to match its importance. Now, the level of preparation here it's just staggering. Every single stone was perfected at the quarry before it even arrived on site. The story says the construction itself was silent. No hammers, no access. It's a perfect metaphor for a system where all the hard analysis, all the work, is done beforehand, so that when it's time to execute, the process is seamless and precise. So how do we actually apply this? Well, whether you're building a business, a creative work, or a trading system, it requires what you might call temple quality construction. You've got to dedicate your sharpest, most focused hours to it. Do your preparation meticulously before the market opens, and be absolutely uncompromising in your standards. Build your masterpiece with the best you have. But here's where the story turns. And this is the part that serves as a warning for anyone who has achieved success. The very peak of his career actually became the point of his greatest vulnerability, all through the slow poison of compromise. His downfall wasn't some single catastrophic event. There was no market crash, no sudden disaster. It was much quieter and much more insidious than that. The whole collapse happened one small compromise at a time. In the story, it was his many foreign wives who gradually turned his heart away from the principles that had made him wise. And each one probably seemed like a minor exception, just a small accommodation. And how far do those compromises go? 1,000. 1,000 wives and concubines. I mean, that number is just shocking, and it shows the cumulative effect of those small exceptions. What started as one seemingly harmless deviation ended with a completely divided heart and, ultimately, a divided kingdom. And here's the modern equivalent, right? It's that one small deviation from your plan. The one position you oversize because it feels right. The one time you break your rules. Each one seems so trivial in the moment, but collectively, they're fatal. They erode the very discipline that built your success in the first place. That slow decline, it isn't just about strategy, it's deeply psychological. The pressure of peak performance creates this volatile emotional spectrum, from total conviction all the way to total burnout. And to see this in action, the story gives us another really powerful figure, the prophet Elijah. On one day, Elijah is on Mount Carmel, at the absolute peak of his conviction. He calmly challenges and defeats 450 prophets of an opposing faith. Fire comes down from the sky. It's a moment of total power, of unwavering certainty. This is what peak performance looks like. And then, just one day later, after a single threat, he's in the wilderness, completely exhausted and literally asking to die. The whiplash is just stunning. From the peak of public victory to the depths of private despair, all in 24 hours. This is that psychological crash, the adrenaline collapse that follows a massive win. And notice the prescribed cure for this burnout wasn't a lecture, but just simple food and rest. The lesson is so clear. Managing your energy is not a weakness, it's a crucial part of any long and demanding journey. All right, finally, we come to the ultimate cautionary tale. This is what happens when success breeds this unchecked sense of entitlement, leading to the one mistake you just can't come back from. The story uses a different king, Ahab, who murdered a man named Naboth for his vineyard simply because he wanted it. And this gives us the concept of the Naboth's vineyard trade. It's that one thing you want that you know is just outside your own rules. You feel entitled to it because of your past success, so you break your own system to take it. The consequence was chilling, and it was direct. The prophecy declared that Ahab would die in the very same way his victim did. It's a stark reminder that when you fatally compromise your own rules, the system eventually extracts its price, often at the exact point of the violation. So this whole arc brings us to a final, very personal question. Your career, your system, your kingdom, whatever you want to call it, it's being affected by every single choice you make. It's either being built up through discipline and wisdom, or it's being divided by small, gradual compromises. So the question is, based on your decisions today, which is it?